Hi everybody, my name is Karina Lemos and this is learning activity number 1. Now let's get right into it. Root words are your core words or fundamental unit of a word. They're often derived from Latin or Greek roots and they represent specific body parts, conditions, or actions. Rhino, meaning nose, is an example of one. Another example is cardio, meaning heart. Everybody knows cardio. Derma, meaning skin. Combining forms is a form of a word that only appears as a part of another word. An example would be hepato, meaning liver. The combining form would be that O or the hepat. Another example would be inguino or inguine/O, meaning groin. Our last example is hystero, as in hysterectomy, meaning uterus. The combining form is the hyster-O. Now, suffixes are the words that are added to the end of any root word to change its conjugation, its word type, or other grammar properties like plurality. Ectomy is the most known suffix today. It means the excision or surgical removal. Like I said, an example would be hysterectomy, removal of the uterus. Another example is esis, meaning a condition, and emia, meaning pertaining to blood or in the blood. An example would be anemia. Now, how do we put these words together? There is 3 main steps. You start with your root word, the word that the body part that you are specifically talking about. And then you add any desired prefixes to, modify the meaning. You finish by adding your appropriate suffix to change the meaning of the entire word. An example would be tachycardia, which means a condition characterized by a rapid heartbeat. Another example would be dermatitis, meaning inflammation below the skin. Now, our third example would be hemialgia. Algia meaning pain, hemi meaning half, and neuro meaning nerve. Put it all together and it means pain affecting half of your body. Now, how do you break words down? We talked about putting them together, but how do you decide what is what when you're looking at a word? You first start with your suffix. Your suffix tells you what the word's function or meaning is. Suffixes such as itis, meaning inflammation, or ectomy, like we talked about, surgical removal. Next step, you identify the prefix. Prefixes come before the root word or identify or modify its meaning. Lastly, you find the root word. The root word will be what you are talking about. The root word provides the core meaning of the term. It is usually located between the prefix and the suffix. Now, there are very many different words, particularly suffixes, that sound the same but are very different and mean a completely different thing. 3 examples would be ectomy versus ostomy, itis versus osis, and algia versus dynia. Now, a few suffixes that are used globally are gram, meaning picture. An example would be an angiogram, which is a medical imaging technique used to visualize the inside of the blood vessels and organs of the body. Graph, meaning instrument for recording. An example would be cardiograph, which is an instrument used to graphically register movements of the heart. Graphy, meaning recording or process of recording. An example would be angiography, which is a type of X-ray used to check the blood vessels. Scope, meaning instrument for visual examination. An example being endoscope, which is a medical device used to view the inside of your body's organs. Scopy, meaning visual examination. An example would be laparoscopy, meaning the surgical procedure to examine the organs in the belly. Now, tomy is the cutting sus incision or surgical incision. Lobotomy is an example, which is the surgical incision to sever the connections between the frontal lobe and the other parts of the body. Stomy is the surgical creation of an opening in the body. An example would be colostomy, as in a colostomy bag, which is the surgical creation of an opening into the colon. Last but not least is ectomy, meaning surgical removal. An example, most commonly known, appendectomy, which is a surgical removal of the appendix.